Hello everyone, thanks for coming outside with me today. Today, I know I'm starting in the basement. We'll get to the outside portion here in a little bit. But today I want to talk about fixed blades flying with the accuracy of your field points with little or no tuning as possible. Now today we're going to specifically look at Magnus heads, which are my personal fixed blade choice. They were for many years when I was growing up because of their cut-on contact design. I went away from Magnus when I first started the channel back in 2015. I started shooting mechanicals and was not pleased, and so I've gone back to them ever since with the buzz cut and the Black Hornet Razor. So this bow right over my shoulder is my Elite Energy 35, which is my workhorse. Shoot it for indoor, 3D, and of course for hunting. Harvested a whole bunch of deer with it already, 2 last year alone. It's been fantastic. I have it shooting perfect through paper. It's tuning really well out to 40 and 50 yards with broadheads. So instead of showing you that bow and that already tuned and really fine-tuned setup, I thought today instead I would show you my wife's bow, and I'm going to shoot it. An Elite Spirit 35 pounds, 25 inches of draw length. The peep's not in the right place. The bow is nowhere near tuned. I just slapped on this NEP Nighthawk cheap drop away rest and this Axion sight. We have a blank sight tape on here. We kind of have one mark for 20 so she can practice in the yard a little bit, but we don't have anything special here in terms of a setup. In terms of an arrow, we have a gold tip 600 spine warrior shaft, which is one of the cheapest shafts that Gold Tip makes. This is cut to 25 inches long, has a 75 grain point in it with a standard insert, a standard Gold Tip knock, and then it has shrink wrap fletchings on it from Trophy Taker. Like I said, we're shooting a 75 grain point. I'm about to screw a 100 grain broadhead into it. So even if it was tuned, that would throw it off. So let's step over here to my very high-tech paper tuning stand and shoot one with the Energy 35 to show you that perfect bullet hole, which is very close to it, that I want to have when I'm tuning for broadheads, whether fixed blade or mechanical. And then let's shoot this arrow through with this bow that's nowhere near set up for me and see what kind of tear we get. Screw on a broadhead and let's see how it flies. So here we have our 2 shots here. The one on the right side of the screen is that perfect bullet hole that we're all striving for. You can see how the center indentation is where the point went through, and then the 3 fletchings coming out from the sides. That's exactly what you want when you are shooting an arrow. I shot that arrow at about 10 feet. Here we have the tear of the warrior shaft coming out of my wife's bow. You can see here that we have the impact of the point up here at the top portion, and then it comes down and tears, and here's where the fletching is. So we have a low and even slightly left tear. If there's any tear you have that would really be bad for broadhead flight, it would be a low tear, and then a left tear indicates that the arrow is coming out weak out of the bow. So you have a weak shaft and a low flying shaft. If you want to talk about poor broadhead flight, this guy right here on the left is not what you want to see. Man, it's a lot cooler in the basement than it is out here. Whew. Sticky. Alright, so we're outside, we're at a laser verified 20 yards. I'm just going to take a couple practice shots with the bow, considering it feels like I'm shooting a crossbow bolt out of a compound bow because of how short the draw length is. We have the sight here set at 20 where my wife shoots, and I might play with it a little bit so I can at least have a group. But we're going to take a few shots here and see how it goes. Ooh, 35 pounds, feels good. Let's take a few more shots here and then we'll screw a broadhead on and see how it goes. Maybe I should shoot 25 inches and 35 pounds more often. Let's go take a look at that group right in the wheelhouse. Alright, let's get a broadhead on here, get the broadhead target out, and let's see how she flies. Alright, so I got a brand new pack of 100 grain Magnus buzz cuts, so we're going to pop one out here. And unfortunately my second camera is not functioning right now, so I can't get you the shot of me and the shot of the target at the same time. So we're going to move the camera down to the target, screw this onto an arrow, and let her rip. Alright, so here we have the Morel High Roller 21. I have it in this cardboard box because when you start shooting broadheads at it, it starts to leave little chunks of foam all over your yard, and I don't really want that. So have a pen dot on here. Should be able to see that at 20 just fine. We're going to screw that buzz cut on and take a shot at 20 yards and see what happens. So 20 yards. I actually couldn't see this dot as well as I thought I could, but with the bow that I can't shoot, you can see the cuts in here. We'll pull the broadhead out. Obviously completely unscathed. That's pretty good. Why don't we screw on a Black Hornet and see what kind of damage it does. If there's anything that's going to send this little tiny arrow off course, we haven't even had a 5 to 10 mile an hour crosswind today too. If there's anything that's going to send it off course, it's going to be that Black Hornet. So let's screw it on and see how it shoots. Well, I think that's pretty conclusive. Dead nut center, 20 yards. Let's get the head out here. And there she is. I'd say that Magnus Broadheads are the most, in my opinion, the most accurate fixed blade heads right out of the package. And this head here, this is actually my practice head that I've been shooting with both my Energy 35 and now, of course, my wife's bow. And it is completely unscathed, and it has seen dozens and dozens of shots into this High Roller 21 through this cardboard. And very impressed with it, of course. Easily resharpened in a particular system like a Lansky or something like that. Of course, if you damage, you can always send it back to Magnus and they will give you a head replacement completely free, lifetime warranty. You can't beat that business. So since this shot so well, I actually think we're going to take it back to 30 yards. And I know, again, you can't see that on the camera, but I am going to step it back to 30 yards, see how it flies out of this little bow. We're going to be kind of doing some Kentucky windaging with the sight because I don't really know. We don't have that slider set up for my wife. So I'm going to kind of eyeball it and see how it flies. If it flies perfectly vertically in line and it was just a yardage adjustment error, I'm going to be totally happy with that. If we have a left or right miss, then we know we have a tuning issue out to that distance. But let's be honest, bow hunting distances, you really are seeing 20, 25 yards. Most guys, myself included, don't even really feel comfortable shooting up to 30 yards and over, and particularly for whitetails here in the Northeast. So let's take it back to 30 and see how she shoots. Alright, so gave it a few more clicks there, and you notice the left-right of it did not change at all, even with the crosswind we have today. It just simply moved up a few inches. Clearly didn't move it far enough. Like I said, that bow is not set up for broadheads, but in particular it's not tuned, period. My wife only shoots at 20 yards right now for practice, so that has me tickled pink. If you want to talk about field point, mechanical-like accuracy out of a fixed blade right out of the package, you cannot go wrong with Magnus heads. So here's where the video kind of gets less away from facts and a little bit more into personal things and personal preference and personal thoughts. Fixed blade broadheads can fly with your field points with very minimal tuning. It does not take a whole lot of effort to get any fixed blade to fly with your field points. So we're talking a bow that's nowhere near where I shoot. Peep's not set up right, the draw length's way too short. This is a 600 spine arrow with shrink wrap fletchings you can get at your local big box store, and this arrow is shooting darts. Now, of course, we had the yardage issues with the slider sight because it's not set up, but in terms of its left-right, which is really where most people have issues with fixed blade broadheads, them planing left or planing right, there's none to be seen, and you saw the tear through the paper. It was shooting nowhere near perfectly straight coming out of the bow. There's nothing fancy going on here. You can get your fixed blades to shoot with your field points. You don't have to shoot a mechanical to ensure that your possibly out of tune bow can shoot a fixed blade broadhead. You can shoot a fixed blade broadhead with that slightly out of tune bow. Really what it comes down to is your shooter form, your shooter error. Fixed blades will be fickle sometimes, but I'm shooting a little 2-inch blazer vein. I'm not shooting a 4-inch feather on a super hard helical. This isn't a super forgiving setup. Don't have a ton of FOC. This is a stock arrow. Nothing fancy going on here. So my personal recommendation is always Magnus. The proof is in the pudding. 20 and 30 yards, this arrow is flying like a dart, whether it be a buzzcut or the Black Hornet. You can shoot any fixed blade you want. I've shot Iron Will, I've shot Muzzy, I've shot, of course, Magnus. I've shot the NAP Thunderheads. I've shot them all, and you can get them all to fly with your field points with a very small amount of tuning. It does not have to be perfect coming out of the bow, as we saw today. So that's all for this video. If you have any questions about how I broadhead tune, follow the links in the description below. I have several videos on that already. You can also follow all the links in the description for links for my Instagram, my Facebook. You can always leave a comment here on YouTube if you have any questions or have any feedback. Hope you're able to get outside, enjoy the sport of archery hunting if you so choose. Definitely enjoy God's beautiful creation, and we'll get to see you next time.